بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. We continue with the prayer, the salah of a person who is traveling. Now when we say a traveler, then what is meant is a person who is a traveler according to the Sharia, according to fiqh, according to Islamic law. And when would a person be regarded as a traveler? Is if a person intends to travel for 77 kilometers or more. So he leaves home with the intention of traveling for 77 kilometers or more, then a person would be regarded as a traveler. Previously, how the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had explained it was, if a person is traveling for 3 days and 3 nights, a journey of 3 days and 3 nights, which in today's of scholars have explained that today we could calculate 77 kilometers for the 3 days and 3 nights, or if a person travels more than that, he would be regarded as a musafir. Now here an important aspect is that there should be the intention. Once a person leaves home, he has the intention of traveling for that amount of kilometers. When will he then become a musafir? He will become a musafir, he will become a traveler when one leaves the boundaries of his town or his city. So wherever the buildings of that town or city comes to an end, that is where he will be out of the boundary of that town. Right? There is much discussion regarding defining one's town, especially for those of us perhaps living in urban areas, living in suburbs. Then it might be a bit tricky, and so the best option for that would be to consult the imam of your area. The imam of your area, he would have already given it thought, and he would have already decided where he regards the boundary to be. You approach him, ask him, and he would be able to then give you some guidelines on that. So once you leave the boundaries of the area, that is when you will now become a traveler. When you are a traveler, then all the units which the compulsory fard prayers, which were 4 units, will now be reduced and brought down to 2. So in our Dhuhr prayer we had 4 units, it now becomes 2. The Asr was 4, it becomes 2. Isha was 4, it becomes 2. When it comes to Maghrib, it is 3, it will stay as 3. Alright. So the compulsory, the fards will all become 2. All those that were 4 will become 2. And all the sunnah prayers, including those which are emphasized, will all drop. They will all drop with the exception of the 2 units of Fajr. The 2 units, the emphasized 2 Sunnah units of Fajr, that will remain. But the other Sunnah units will all drop. The Witr Wajib will remain Wajib, remain necessary for a person to perform. Now a person is, let's look at an example, a person is traveling, he is living in Johannesburg, and he intends to travel to Durban. He is now on his way. As soon as he gets onto the highway, he has now left his area, he now is regarded as a musafir, as a traveler. When he stops for his prayer, he will now perform, say he is traveling, he stops for Dhuhr prayer, he now performs 2 units, he does not need to perform his Sunnah prayer, and he can continue. Then we look at Watan al-Iqamah. You see on the slide, alright? The destination of one's journey, if one remains or intends to remaining there for 15 days or more. So what happens is, a person now, we said, he's going to Durban. Once he reaches Durban, if his intention is that I'm going to stay in Durban for 15 days or I'm going to stay for 20 days, then what happens is he's no longer a traveler, he's no longer a musafir. once he enters Durban. Once he enters Durban, he is regarded as a resident. He needs to perform all his prayers. Right? So this intention needs to take place from the beginning, from the time he enters into Durban. Now what happens if a person enters into Durban, he's intending to spend just 1 week. So he spends that 1 week. On the last day, some work comes up and they say, okay, I need to spend another 3 days. So now he spends the next 3 days. Thereafter, after the 3 days, again he decides, now I need to spend another 5 days. And then now he's spending day 1, day 2, day 3. Day 3 now he now realizes, no, I need to add another 1 week to it. So what happens is adding another 7 days. So initially he spent 7 days, he then spent 3 days, he then spent another 5 days, and thereafter more days over and above that. So all in all, he would have stayed in Durban for more than 15 days. However, what is important is the intention. The intention for 15 days needed to be there from the beginning. So say he travels to Durban, he has the intention of spending only 1 week. He arrives in Durban, he now spends 2 days, and then he realizes, no, I'm now going to be staying from this point another 17 days or another 15 days. From that point, the day he's in now, he will not consider the days that is past. If he says, okay, I'm going to be staying another 14 days. So, okay, that's less than 15. I need to stay as a musafir. I need to stay as a traveler. He will not consider, okay, I'm already here for 2 days, so that makes it 16 days. He will not consider that. What he will consider is from that point until when he's leaving Durban. Alright? So from that point until Durban, if I'm 14 days there, I'm a traveler. If I'm there for 15 or more days, then I'm regarded as a muqim, as a resident, and I need to perform all my prayers. So a person can actually live his entire life as a traveler if he's in Durban for 1 day, then he says, okay, I'm going to stay another 3 days, okay, another 4 days, and he never knows when he doesn't know when he's going to leave. He can remain as a traveler throughout his life. Alright. Then now what happens is, if a person is performing salah behind, he goes to the masjid in the mosque of the area and he performs salah behind the imam there. That imam is a resident. He will now follow the imam for the entire prayer. Alright, so if you go for the Dhuhr prayer, he will perform the entire 4 units behind the imam. He will not leave after 2 units. Also, we had discussed how to make up for missed units. Right? So if a person now joins, the imam is performing a Dhuhr prayer, is performing 4 units, you join after 2 units. A person would not then say, okay, I'm a traveler, I only needed to perform 2, so I got 2 with the imam, I'm fine. No, you had commenced following the imam, you need to perform the prayer that the imam was praying, and so you need to cover up those 2 units down. Alright. Now what happens if the traveler is the imam? If a person who is traveling is the imam, and a resident is performing the salah behind him. So if it is an Isha salah, now what happens? The traveler will perform 2 units, whilst the resident is required to perform 4 units. So what happens now? You'll follow the imam who is a traveler. He will perform his 2 units and he will make salam. He will complete the prayer. Right? So he will complete the prayer. When he commences with his second salam, he will stand up. So just like when we were filling in our missed units, we will do the same thing. We will stand up. Allahu Akbar. But here the difference here is now, what we performed behind the imam was unit 1 and unit 2. So now what we are performing is unit 3 and unit 4. We mentioned with regards to when we had missed a unit, then we stood up and we're performing the unit that we had missed. But here we're not performing that unit. We're performing the unit that is coming, which the Imam did not perform. He did not perform unit 3 and 4, and so that is the unit that we are performing now. But what do we do now? We will stand up, recite Surah Al-Fatiha, and thereafter go into Ruku', because we are performing unit 3 and unit 4, which did not have a recitation of a surah. Alright, then we go on to another aspect. When a person enters into his hometown, the clock needs to be reset. So what happens now? If a person is traveling, starting a journey, he goes to the north. He's traveling to the north, he travels perhaps 77 kilometers. He now comes down and he's traveling to the south. And in that process, he goes through his hometown. If he bypasses his hometown, that is fine. If he goes through his hometown, he will now need to reset. From that point until my destination, is that 77 kilometers or not? You will not count the entire journey because there was a breakage. The breakage occurred when a person entered into his hometown. Right, I think that covered the entire discussion with regards to the salah of a traveler.